back to Alaskan Homemaker. I'm Mary. Today we're going to make my favorite pie crust. So let's get started. I've got my bucket of flour here, and I'm going to make a double recipe, 2 apple pies. So I'm going to put 2 cups of flour for 1 recipe. You need 1 teaspoon of salt, I'm going to use my pastry cutter and just mix that salt around in there. We're going to use 2/3 cup of Crisco plus 2 tablespoons for each batch. If I'm doubling a recipe, or tripling, I like to keep only 2 pie. This is a double pie crust for each one, so I like to keep it to 2 pie crust. I don't like to make like 4 at a time in one bowl. Okay, there's 2/3, and then we'll get our 2 tablespoons in. I'm going to kind of estimate for the 2 tablespoons. Okay, that bowl's finished. Now we're going to put some in this bowl. My oven is preheated to 375 degrees. My friend Nan taught me about 15 years ago how she made her pie crust, and I've been making this pie crust ever since. It's really a delicious pie crust recipe. And you notice that the flour is really white, and then once we work in all this Crisco, the vegetable shortening, it'll turn like a pale cream color. So you want to keep working in the Crisco until it turns into a pale cream color. Okay, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna bring y'all over so I hope that you can see the difference in color. So you can see this one is really white, and this one has the Crisco worked in, and it's more of a cream color, a light cream color. So that's what you're looking for. Okay, and now we're gonna get our second one worked in. Homemade pies are so good. I think pies are a lot more delicious than cake. How about you guys? Do you guys love cake more or pie more? Okay, that one looks good. I've got some ice water here, and we're going to get 4 to 5 tablespoons of water into our dough. I'm gonna put 30 right now, and then we're gonna give this a mix. And I just put in 2 more. Okay, and this dough is looking good and it feels nice and hydrated. So I'm going to make a little ball with it. I think I'm just going to put a little tiny bit more. It's breaking apart a little bit. There we go. Now it's staying together. I'm going to get a piece of parchment paper out. We're going to sprinkle some flour on our parchment paper so our dough doesn't stick. And I'm going to divide this in half. I'm just going to eyeball it. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to let that flour coat it a little bit on both sides. And now we're going to roll it out. I'm just going to dust this a little bit so it doesn't stick to my rolling pin. And we've got our pie shell here. So we're going to slide our crust off and get that into our pie plate. And you want to push the crust in, not like pull it out and stretch it. So you want to push it into the pie plate. And you can always patch up any spots if there's any spots that need a little extra. I'm gonna trim this, but not right to the edge. I wanna be able to have a little bit of a lip to tuck under. All right, so we're gonna leave this one for a second. You can see that I have a bit of an overhang right here. It's not right to the edge. I left a little bit to tuck under. We're gonna get our second pie rolled out. We're gonna slide that under. And here's a little spot that's a little bit sparse right here. So I'm gonna just take some pieces that I cut off and I'm just gonna fuse that onto there. And it's gonna be fine. So if you need to patch any little pieces up, it's gonna be all right. Okay. Here is our other pie crust. I'm doing a double pie crust because I'm making apple pies today. I canned some homemade apple pie filling, and it is the best thing ever because it's ready pie. All you have to do is make the crust and the filling's ready to go. If you don't have filling, you know, you can put any kind of filling in these pie crusts though. But I'm gonna use my home canned apple pie filling. Okay, we're gonna get our ice water in here. And it's 4 to 5 tablespoons or as much as you need to make a nice dough. And you want to just add a bit of ice water at a time. That way you don't make the dough too wet. You don't want it too wet and you don't want it too dry. You just want it to all come together really nicely with not very many dry bits in the bottom until it makes a nice dough ball. And we're gonna cut this in half. When I'm doing 2 apple pies, I like to do the 2 bottom crusts first and then work on the top crust. That way, I'm hoping that the bottom doesn't get too soggy with the pie filling in there. I like to do it after I get at least the bottom pie crust in and then working on the top crust before I put the pie filling in. I'm gonna cut my lattices, long strips of dough, and I just do what looks good. We're going to set this aside and get our other top crust done. Okay, that looks good. Now we'll get this one cut. All right, we've got our 2 apple pies here. I'm just going to even out this apple pie filling in here. Okay, that one looks good. we've got our strips of pie dough. I think I'm going to start in the middle. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to cut these off, the little strips hanging over. Okay, and then I'm going to tuck that dough under a little bit. I'm just rolling it under the edge where it's even with the pan, so it has a neater edge. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my thumb and I'm going to go like this along the edge of the pie crust to make a little crimped edging. So I'm just putting my thumb here and then using my other two fingers to make the crimped edge. Now we're going to work on this one. Straighten any that look a little bit not right. We're going to get our pies into the oven, and since our pie filling is already cooked, we'll probably put it in for, I'm going to set the timer for 40 minutes and see how brown the crust looks, because that's basically what we're doing, is wanting to get that crust browned up nicely. So we're going to get these in the oven. And later into the baking, I'm going to go ahead and set my timer for 40 minutes. If the crust looks like it's getting too browned, I've got these pie shields that I bought from Pampered Chef, and I will just set these on top. That way the outer crust doesn't get too crispy, dark brown. So I've got these just in case I need them. And I'll just be checking the pies and drop them on if it looks like it's getting too dark. If you don't have pie shields, you can always take some foil and just wrap it around the edging so that your crust doesn't get too browned and dark. our timer just went off, and I did put it in for another 10 minutes, so it baked for a total of 15 minutes. So we're gonna grab those out. And I did put the pie shields on. So I am going to grab my tongs and get those pie shields off. Here's our delicious apple pie. We could have put an egg wash on the lattice too, but I didn't do it this time. I'm gonna show you one more way that I like to do a top crust, because I need to make one more apple pie anyways. So I'll show you one more way that I like to do a top crust. And I will link this recipe in the description box below. If you see any parts cracking, just you can squeeze it together or put a little piece of dough there. Cut out some little hearts. You can use any kind of a cookie cutter. And I'm going to try to get into the center. I'm going to do 3 hearts in the center. Peel those out and I'm going to save them. All right. And now we've got our apple pie filling. We really love apple pie. Okay, here's our bottom crust. Okay, that looks good. And I've got an egg wash in here, 1 egg and about a tablespoon of milk. I just poured a little bit in there and whisked it up. And I've got my little pastry brush. And now I'm going to wet the edges of this dough so it can seal when I put the top crust on. Okay, and now I'm going to carefully pick this one up and try to get it centered nicely on here. And that looks pretty good. And then I am going to cut it right to the edge of the pie this time. I'm just having my knife right against the pan, the glass pie plate. All that off. And I'm going to save these little scraps because I want to cut some extra hearts. So I'm going to cut out as many hearts as I can to decorate our pie with. Okay, and I'm going to use this egg wash to glue these little hearts on. So I'm just going to brush the back of the heart, and then I'm going to let it adhere to the pie crust. And then I think I'm going to do opposite spots that way. I can try to get them even. Okay, and then we're going to take a fork and we're going to crimp the edge for this one. And we're going to brush, we are going to brush the whole top with an egg wash this time on this crust. I've got some sugar in the raw, and I'm just going to sprinkle some of this on top. There we go. And we'll get that into the oven and let that bake for 15 minutes. See you in a bit. Here's our delicious pies, apple pies that we made. And they cooled off a little bit, and I've got one cut here. And we're gonna give it a taste. We'll make sure we've got some of the crust and the apples. Here we go. It's so delicious. Apple pie is the best. Homemade is so wonderful. The canned apple pie filling makes apple pie making very quick on holidays. I love canned apple pie filling. So I hope you guys try the pie crust. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope that y'all had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time. Have a blessed day. Bye.